Hello, Alexis. Let's see here. Okay. YouTube. We're just getting ready here, waiting for the show to start. We got a few minutes. You guys know I always start it early. Okay. Go. All right. Ben, hello, sir. Hello. Well, good evening to you. Put this over here. We're going to shrink this a little bit. And then we're going to bring this up like this right here. There we go. All right. Hey, 7th, Metalhead Nate here. How's it going? That's going all right, Metalhead Nate. How is it going with you? We'll be starting in about 5 minutes, so this is pre-show stuff. And we'll get into the topics at hand shortly. In case you can't tell, I've been avoiding the razor for the last few weeks. I don't have to work in an office, so I'm like, and I haven't been making cam videos in a while. So, what the hell? Maybe I'll shave it off later. I don't know. Everything looking all right? Everything sound okay? Y'all let me know if there's anything that needs to be tweaked before we get started. Hi, video game lover. Yes. Almost done platinuming Maneater. Wow. Going for the plat on Maneater. Wow. Everything's good, sir. Well, good. Good. I think I got right up to the last boss on Maneater, and then at that point, just before I fought him, I'm like, you know what? I'm not really feeling this. Of course, I was pretty much aware of that before I got to that point, but I'd pushed myself through so as to be able to do the review. There's a slight delay between audio and video. Is everyone else seeing a delay between audio and video? I'm not sure why. Not everyone's seeing it. Okay. Thoughts on Harley Quinn? I haven't watched any of it. Oh, you are too, slightly. 0.5 seconds. Yes, slight. Shit. Oh, I said a bad word. That means I won't be monetized. Oh, no. Well, I didn't change any of the settings here, so I'm just going to chalk it up to YouTube having problems and call it a day because I've got fast speed. I didn't change any of the settings, so I don't have anything else running that would delay things. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. But anyway, we're going live in 2 minutes. You, sir, are not in my subscription feed. The bell icon worked, though. Well, that's good, I guess. Missed you last week. You missed me last week because I didn't stream. My power went out. I was literally sitting here getting ready to start the stream, and it cut off. All the power went out, and it was out for like 4 hours. There was some major outage down towards San Antonio that had knocked power out in both areas of San Antonio and Cedar Park up near Austin, where I live. I don't know what caused it, but it was pretty bad. Beg Susan for forgiveness. I don't know who Susan is. I don't know what you're talking about. 7th morphed into Santa. You're getting old, bro. Also, slight delay, nothing major. Well, I can't do anything about it. It's YouTube. It ain't me. You know, the only thing I could do would be to start it and stop it, and YouTube doesn't take to that too kindly. Twitch is a little more forgiving, but YouTube not so much. So we'll just go with it, and it is what it is. Most of y'all don't watch the camera when I'm talking anyway. Most of you just turn me on and listen. So we'll be getting going here in just a second. Well, my week's been all right, I guess. I never was big into Injustice. Anyway, it is Saturday. It is 6 o'clock, November 21st, 2020, and this is the 7thCast. As always, I am your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is off in his room doing school stuff, trying to catch up on some projects that he needs to get done before Thanksgiving break. And I am in the possession of a PlayStation 5. I have not played it very much, though, because way back in September or whenever it was, when these things became available for pre-order, I was only able to score 1. And 8th was not happy about this because I told him, the first one shall be mine. You get first dibs on everything else. This one is going to be mine. And he protested strongly, and I was like, look, this is just the way it is, but I'll make you a deal. I'm going to pre-order Demon's Souls, and I'm going to pre-order Miles Morales, because I know those are the two you want to play the most. And you're going to have dibs on the PS5, but it stays in the game room. It's not going in your room. And so for the last, since it came out, I have simply been watching him play Spider-Man Miles Morales and Demon's Souls. I played, Astro's Playroom for about 2 hours, give or take, 90 minutes to 2 hours. Earned a few trophies, and that's the only playing on it that I've been doing. The rest of it has been watching 8th. I have watched him plat Spider-Man Miles Morales. He has platted it already. He beat it on spectacular mode. And I have watched him beat Demon's Souls. He hasn't platted it yet. He's like 5 trophies away from the plat. So, but of course he's kind of an expert at Souls-likes at this point, so I wasn't expecting him to have much of a hard time with him. And he beat the core game in like 19 hours. That's how. And he wasn't even trying to speed run it because it had been so long since he platted the original Demon's Souls that he had forgotten where a lot of stuff was. So he was just kind of roaming around, refamiliarizing himself with everything. And so it took him 19 hours to beat it. He can speed run these games. I've seen him go through both Bloodborne and a couple of the Dark Souls games in under an hour, or right around an hour. So, I mean, he knows how to do it. It's just Demon's Souls he hadn't played in forever. So, impressions of the PlayStation 5. Oh, and by the way, same old thing. This is a 3-hour podcast. It runs from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. This can be adjusted by donation. If we hit a total of $50, I stay till 10 o'clock. If we hit a total of $75, I stay till 11. If we hit anything that's $100 and up, I stay a full 6 hours till midnight. The preferred way of donating is through this link up here, this Streamlabs link. Why? Because when you donate to that link, all of it goes to me, and I get it the same night. If you donate using the gray button with the $sign on it, I appreciate it if that's the only way you can do it, but 30% of it goes to YouTube, and I don't get it for a month. So if you care enough about what I do and your money to want to send some of it to me, really, but yeah, I would assume that you'd at least want all of it to go to me and not 30% of it to go to YouTube. So, but if the gray button's the only way you can do it, it's the only way you can do it, and I understand. All of it counts the same towards the goal. It doesn't matter whether you donate to this or you donate to the gray button. It all goes towards the goal of extending the stream. So, there we go. Let's see here. Halfway into Demon Souls, fantastic. Blah, blah, blah. Will you do a review of the PlayStation 5? I'm going to do a review right now. I'm doing it live tonight. That's why the title is, PS5 First Impressions. I'm doing a review live tonight. Smithy, hi. When's it a good time to get a PS5? Now or January, since people are dealing with bugs? I mean, if you can get a hold of one, but I wouldn't kill yourself trying to do it. And I certainly, if anyone was actually selling them in a retail location, I certainly would not get in line with everything going on to try to get one. If you can't get one online, then don't sweat it and just wait until the bots are done scalping everything. 7th, have you seen Digital Fountain? Yes, I saw it. I can't never speedrun games myself. It depends on the game for me, but then again, I don't really care about that kind of thing. Haven't in a long time. 7th, I just joined. Have you run into any issues with the PS5? I'm getting into that. So, I've had the PS5 since, a week from Thursday. And I have had absolutely zero issues with it. The controller's battery lasts way longer than people have implied. I can go all day on one controller before I even get a notification that the battery's getting low. I don't have any coil whine. I don't have any weird noises coming out of the unit. In fact, 90% of the time you don't even hear the fan at all. The fan will randomly come on every few hours for about 5 seconds, like it's just, cooling something for some reason, and then it stops, and then you don't hear shit. There, I just cursed again. I just must have an aversion towards taking YouTube's money. I don't know what it is, but anyway, no problems at all, no crashes, no nothing. However, I have not had an external drive hooked up to it. The first thing that I did when I set mine up was I disabled rest mode, because I don't ever use rest mode. I didn't use it on my PS4. I'm not using it on my PS5. I had it disabled on the PS4, so the first thing I did when setting it up was I turned that off because I hate that crap. I have not played a single PS4 game on it so far. All we've been playing are PS5 games. So the stuff that people are saying they're having the most common issues with, which is going in and out of rest mode, having an external drive hooked up, issues playing PS4 games, I'm not doing any of that, so I have not had any of that. Just playing straightforward PS5 games, I've had zero issues. No crashes, no freeze-ups, no graphical glitches or anything like that. Nothing. It has worked flawlessly, and it's on pretty much all day. Now I work till 5, but 8th, because he's going to school from home, he's in a class and then he's out of a class, and then he's in a class and then he's out of a class. It's his senior year. He doesn't have a full docket anyway. And half the classes, they're not even having a lecture. He just signs in, they assign him something, and he signs out. So honestly, aside from the time that he spends doing the actual assignments, he has most of the day free, really. And so the PS5 has stayed on pretty much since we got it, and we're not sleeping at least 15 to 18 hours out of the day, and no issues. The case doesn't even get warm. Now he's been playing fighting some of the bigger, more graphically impressive bosses on Demon Souls, and I've walked over and put my hands on the unit. It's not even hot. It's not even hot. The back plate where the heat is ejected out of the system, little warm, but not what I would call burning hot at all. Had zero issues with it. Haven't had issues pairing the controllers. Haven't had any issues with the controllers themselves. However, if there was anything on this system that would be prone to breaking, I would say it was the controllers, and I'll tell you why. I watched a video, I can't remember who made it. I watched a video of a guy breaking down a DualSense controller. And the way those adaptive triggers work is when you open those up, the trigger is attached to a cylindrical, almost look like a drill thing. And it's connected to gears. And those gears will ramp up or ramp down that little piece, and that controls how much give you have on the trigger. So if you're in a position where it's supposed to resist it, it screws that thing and the gear goes up and pushes against it, and so you have resistance. If you're not supposed to have resistance, it screws it back down, and then you have full trigger. All of it is made out of plastic. Now, as a child of the 80s, one of the things that I know is that if there's one thing that wears out, it's plastic gears. I had so many toys that stopped working because the plastic gears wore out. You've got plastic grinding against plastic repeatedly, the plastic gets hot, or the plastic starts to bend or warp, and then it stops working. So if there's anything that's going to be chronically breaking in regards to the PS5, it's going to be those triggers. I'm just saying that now. I could end up being wrong, and it could be something that takes years to happen, but I have a feeling that if there's anything that's going to be regularly having to be replaced, it's those controllers because of bad triggers, or the gears and the adaptive on the triggers breaking. That's just the way I feel. Anytime you introduce new technology, there's going to be some concern about its longevity. How much punishment can it take before it wears out? And this controller has a lot of moving parts. I'm just saying. So, I only have really one issue with the PS5. One, and it's not even Sony's fault. That issue is that so far, there is no HBO Max app. Every other streaming service I have, their app was ready to go. I got YouTube, I've got Twitch, I've got Amazon Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus. But there's no HBO Max. Why? They aren't even different apps. These apps are the exact same apps that run on the PS4 version. Look exactly the same. There's no graphical improvements. They don't run any faster or any better or more secure or any of that stuff. It's the same apps. So why is it that the HBO Max app has not made its way over the PS5 yet? I don't understand that. Anyway. The graphics on everything that I've played are astounding. The haptic feedback is really a game changer. It completely changes the feel of play. Although, me being the type of player I am, I feel like it would be more of an annoyance than it would an enhancement feature. Because, for one thing, I'm getting arthritis in my hands, and having something shake and additional pressure on the triggers and all that, I feel like that's just going to actually cause me pain in the long run. So I'll probably be turning that off when I'm playing a game. Unless I try it out with the haptics first, and I'm like, oh, well, I can't turn this off. This changes the whole feel of the game. But otherwise, I'm probably not going to use it that much. The graphics on everything that we played has been 60 frames per second, with the exception of Bug Snacks. We loaded up Bug Snacks the day that we got it, and it's supposed to be 60 frames per second. It was dropping frames all over the place. I don't know if it's been patched out since the last time we played it, because we deleted it in like 20 minutes. But when we had it on there, its frame rate could not stay steady to save its life. That has not been the case with anything else we've played. Demon Souls, straightforward 60 frames per second. Miles Morales, 60 frames per second. Astro, 60 frames per second. It's steady and it's tight. And it looks good. We've tried out, the more cinematic look, with the additional effects, like with Miles Morales, the ray tracing, where you can actually see the cars and people moving in the reflections and all that crap. But honestly, the more impressive thing to me is performance mode, because it's so rock solid. And Spider-Man looks amazing in 60 frames per second. It really does. So, I couldn't care less about ray tracing. If all ray tracing is going to do is add better reflections in puddles and windows, you can keep it. I don't want it. I'll go with 60 locked. Thank you. Have a good day. So that's been my impression of the PS5. Everything that we've played on it, except for Bug Snacks, has been astounding. Very well done. I'm not at all disappointed in any of the exclusives that we've purchased so far. They have lived up to the expectation. Yes, it's a big boy. I sit it on the side. I do not stand it vertically. I have set up its own separate table for it to sit on, because it's literally too big to fit in the shelves of my entertainment center and not expect it to overheat. And we do have a new development. You guys hear me talking about my buddy Brian all the time, who has gone to Retropalooza with us repeatedly. This last attempt to get a PS5 from Walmart failed again. Eighth managed to get it in his cart, tried to check out. Whoopsie, dog error, and then boom, this unit is sold out. Had it in his cart. All he had to do was hit checkout and buy it. Failed. Couple of seconds later, I get a tweet from Brian, and he had scored us one. He had actually managed to purchase one off Walmart, and so he's shipping it to us, and I will be paying him for it. And so Eighth will be able to get a PS5 of his own for his big Christmas present. But of course, we're going to be opening it up early just to make sure that, this is a launch console. We want to make sure he doesn't get a dud. So we'll be doing that. And no, I have not purchased an Xbox Series X, and I'm not in any rush to do so. I'll get one eventually, and I will review it at that time. But, yeah. So far, well worth the $500. It does everything that we've wanted to, except for HBO Max. I don't really care for the changes they've made to the trophy system all that much. I liked the original trophy ding sound better than the new one. And, they just look different. I mean, it's not that big of a thing. It's a minor annoyance, but I would have preferred they left the trophies the way they were. That's about it, really. If y'all want to ask me questions about it, you can. But that's about it. Haven't bought any multiplats. I only bought, literally all I bought for it was Spider-Man and Demon Souls. So I have not played, Assassin's Creed. I haven't gotten Sackboy yet or any of that stuff. Eighth wants Sackboy. But, he's got to have something for Christmas. I'm not... he's gotten so much stuff early this year already because of everything that's been going on. I'm not, from this point on, anything that I buy him, he's not getting until the 25th, with the exception of the PS5 hardware itself, because I want to make sure that he doesn't get a dud. How's the 3D audio? I don't know because I didn't buy the headphones. And currently my sound system in the game room is not full surround. It's only a sound bar and a subwoofer, so you know, without the headphones I couldn't tell you one way or the other. Let's see here. It's weird, man, that if you don't use the stand, you have to put the game in upside down. Where do you have the disc in position on the system, man? Stephanie Lane, something happened to me. Okay. Hey, wannabe gamer, how's it going? Will you do a comparison of PS5 to Xbox Series X when I actually have an Xbox Series X to do one? I don't like the new screenshot mode when getting the trophies on PS5. It is what it is. I think you can disable some settings with that. Like, you can disable it from recording a little video that shows how you earned it. Right now, wannabe gamer, even if I could find an Xbox Series X, I don't have an additional $500 to spend on one because it's almost Christmas time. I got to buy up the rest of what Eighth wants for Christmas. Demon Souls. uh, usually launch exclusives you can take with a grain of salt. Some of them will be okay, like Knack was okay, and some of them can be complete pieces of crap, like Killzone Shadowfall. Demon Souls is one of the best launch exclusives I've ever seen. Ever. Like, going way back. It is astoundingly high quality. Yes, as I said earlier, rephrase then erase. Every few hours, the fan will kick in for maybe like 5-6 seconds, and then it shuts off. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be watching a YouTube video, you could be playing a game, and it'll come on for 5 or 6 seconds, and then it cuts off. I said the same thing happened to me. I had the PS5 in my cart, and then someone bought it out from under me. Probably a bot, Stephanie. It was probably a bot. I mean, when you have the money, right? Not right now. Gotcha. I still think God of War should have been a launch title and get the best. Well, God of War, you really don't want a marquee title like that as a launch title. And that's because you're limiting the sales of the game at its full retail price. God of War is a game where you want to wait until there's a lot of units in people's homes so that more copies of it get sold. You put it out on launch day, and it's not going to hit the numbers that it would if you put it out at when there's 10, 15, 20 million units out in homes. So launch titles are usually going to be like new IP or lesser known exclusives, like Bug Snacks, or lesser popular stuff like Sackboy, that kind of thing. And of course, Miles Morales, it's a shorter title. It's not as long as the main Spider-Man game. It is worth the price. It's got plenty of stuff to do. It's got multiple modes, got Game Plus, all that stuff. So I mean, you get your money's worth out of it, but don't go into it thinking you're going to get as long of a story as you do with the first game, because you don't. Ever going to be doing any debates in the future? There's no one to debate. Seventh God of War is locked 60 frames per second on PS5. It's so smooth. Yeah, I have heard that, but I have not played it on PS5 because I already beat it on PS4. I never platted it. I got close. I never finished it. I needed to go find the rest of the hidden birds, and there was a couple of the challenge levels that I didn't complete. But, I did damn near everything else. I'm waiting for Ratchet and Clank to release. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. One time the fan kicked in and then the console shut itself off. I haven't had it. I haven't had any automatic shutdowns like that. Like I said, every so often the fan will come, and it's not even like loud fan. You can just hear it. It's not like with PS4 Pro where it sounds like a jet engine. You just hear it kick in. It sounds about as loud as the standard fan noise from a PS3, and it'll run for like 5 to 10 seconds and then it cuts itself off. Never any errors, never any crashes or shutdowns, none of that. What gets me is we've got God of War supposed to be coming next year, and Jim Ryan recently said uh, and you've got Horizon 2 coming out, and he said that the genre-defining games would start coming out in 2022. Or not genre, but generation-defining games would be coming out in 2022. If Horizon and God of War aren't generation-defining games, I'm almost afraid to know what games he's talking about. We haven't played Sackboy Adventure yet. It's one of the ones on 8th's Christmas wish list. Hi, enemy. Trying to fight the last Valkyrie, but she beats my ass every time. The Valkyries are tough, especially that last one. I'm waiting for Riders Republic to come out on February 25th. Okay. Anyone knows whether all PS4 games are 60 frames per second? Any game that was not hard locked at 30 ought to be running at 60 on the PS5. If it was a game that was hard locked at 30, like as one example, Bloodborne, it's still going to be locked at 30 on the PS5. But if it had an unlocked frame rate, it almost assuredly will be running at 60 frames per second. I have not played the remaster of 13. I've heard it's garbage. I haven't noticed any loud noise out of the disk drive. Disk drive sounds about the same to me as the one in the PS4. Yeah, I've heard about Scott Pilgrim as well. Limited Run Games is supposed to be doing a physical release of it, and they still haven't announced the pre-order for it yet. I keep watching for it. Is Octopath Traveler a worthy purchase? We have that one for Switch. I haven't played it. 8th, I assume, has played it a little bit. How long do you think it'll be before a PS5 Slim comes out? I wouldn't expect you'd see one until 2023 in the earliest, like 2 or 3 years. That'd be my guess. I mean, like, for example, the PS3 Slim came out 3 years after the console launched, so, you know. Yeah, for those of you who aren't uh, in the know as far as where Demon Souls came from, Sony reached out to From Software because they wanted their own exclusive Western style RPG. Basically, they wanted their own Elder Scrolls, and they wanted it to be exclusive to PlayStation. And so they reached out to From Software and they were like, we will pay you to make us our own Western style RPG. And none of them really knew anything about making a Western style RPG, so what you ended up with was Demon Souls. Well, in remaking Demon Souls, Bluepoint adjusted a few things here and there. For one thing, they took all the exploits out for the most part. There's some new exploits, but having read about them, they're not really worth it because they gimp you from being able to earn other trophies when you get them. Like, for example, they'll make it to where you can't level up any higher than you are when you use them, so they're a waste of time. But there were several cheeses and advantages that were in the PS3 version that are not in the new one. They've changed the look of some of the characters to where some of the characters don't even match the descriptions of the characters from the original game. And so, there's a few things that they could have done better. But it's definitely an astounding looking game. It runs smooth as silk. The gameplay itself hasn't really changed that much. It's more in some of their character redesigns where they missed the mark, at least in my opinion. They also changed some of the music, so the music has lost some of its appeal because the soundtrack to Demon Souls was very unique and it covered a lot of different musical styles, whereas in this one, almost everything sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings. And so it's the same musical pieces, but they've reorchestrated them to have that big, Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings sound to them. So it gives the whole game a bit of a different feel from the original as far as the audio goes. What is your ultimate dislike about the PS5? Not having HBO Max on there yet. You spoke about the possibility of dinosaurs existing during the Middle Age. Why did English, Japanese, and Greek artists draw so many creatures as serpents instead of actual dinosaurs? Well, for one thing, there were several large breeds of snake during the dinosaur era, so that's not exactly surprising. But when you see most pictures of middle era dragons and whatnot, they're very similar to what a lot of our dinosaurs look like. I'm not saying that the Earth is only 6,000 years old or anything. I'm just saying that it's highly likely that not all breed of dinosaur were extinct up until maybe the 12 or 1300s, somewhere around in there. Would it surprise you if in the middle of the PS5 gen they stopped making physical games? No, it wouldn't. Thoughts on Yellow Flash claiming Xbox would dominate Japan despite the Series X bombing in Japan? Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. You would think that the Japanese would go for it since they tend to like smaller electronics and tend to frown down on big giant consoles, but it looks like their xenophobia towards buying American has overpowered their dislike of large consoles. What can you say? Yeah, there is a rumor that Sony plans to buy Bluepoint. We shall see. I got a buddy who just won a PS5 bundled up from a radio station. Have you ever won anything like that? No. Well, I won a PS3 from a YouTuber once, but like a big contest, like from a radio station or whatever. No, I've never won anything like that. Something weird did happen to my PS5. I had it in rest mode. Yeah, there seems to be some kind of a firmware glitch when it comes to rest mode. So that's just one more reason why I wouldn't use it. Are you getting DMC5 Special Edition? Probably not. I've got the standard one on PS4, so I'm not all that excited to rebuy it. Supposedly Battlefield 3 will be getting released with Battlefield 6 next year. Okay. Do you think there will be a PS5 Pro? PS5 Pro. It's possible. It's possible. Should Tom Hardy's Venom coexist with the Amazing Spider-Man or MCU universe? I would prefer it to be that way, yeah. Have you seen the 24 frames per second bug on Miles Morales when you add a certain modification to the suit? No, we didn't run into any bugs in Spider-Man aside from like a character who had kind of a death animation glitch, an enemy, and that's been about it. Oh, and we had one instance where it was a little cutscene, and it was a character talking to Spider-Man, and that character's audio didn't play. So, 2 little bugs. That was it. Thoughts on Nintendo copying the Disney Vault via the Mario collection? Is what it is. You know, it's a cheap way to make money. People are going to buy it. They wouldn't continue to make stuff like that if people weren't continuing to buy it. Oh, do you think LFC is talking about the Into the Spider-Verse suit, 8th? Because, yeah, if you're talking about the Into the Spider-Verse suit, it's supposed to look like that, to emulate the look of the character from the movie. So it's not a bug, if that's what you were talking about. Hi, Evil Otaku. Do you think physical games will end at the end of this gen or in the middle? My preference would be at the end, but it all depends on you guys. If all of you are buying your games digitally, then don't be surprised when physical media goes away. It could be that when they do a PS5 Slim or when they do a PS5 Pro that it won't even have a drive on it. It all depends on how many physical copies get sold. I didn't stream last week because my power went out. I was literally sitting right here in this chair 5 minutes from my start time, and the whole neighborhood lost power for like 4 hours. Would you agree that Spider-Man Home Run should pave the way for the continuation for a multiverse Spider-Man, a spin-off film such as Spider-Man 4 or Amazing Spider-Man 3? If the characters are willing to do it, sure, why not? I mean, the actors. What do you think we can expect in the year 2021 for gaming? I have no idea because, you know, with everything that's going on, who knows when we're going to be getting back to normal. You know, I keep hearing people say, oh, thank goodness 2020 is almost over. What do you think? We're going to hit January 1st and COVID's just going to vanish and, you know, the new president is going to be what everyone wants and is just going to make everybody happy? Because that's not what's going to happen. Yeah, Jim Ryan mentioned something about how they were working on something to compete with Game Pass. I'm assuming that it's probably some kind of a big... It's either going to be a big modification to PlayStation Now and how PlayStation Now works, or they're going to beef up the PlayStation Plus collection to be their version of Game Pass. One of the two. My guess would be that they're going to beef up PlayStation Now and have some kind of super bundle where you pay a little bit more for PlayStation Plus, and you get PlayStation Now included in that subscription, like kind of like Xbox Live Ultimate does, loops Game Pass in. It's like $15 a month. Is the PS5 worth getting? If you have a bunch of PS4 games that you haven't played yet, definitely worth getting, because it'll play them. Otherwise, it all depends on what kind of games you like. I mean, Tokes, Demon Souls had a lot of supernatural stuff in it, and it's all about, switching between playing as a live person and playing as a dead spirit, and there's demons and all sorts of nasties in it, so it's kind of up your alley. It's certainly a darker mood game if you're up to the challenge for it, and if you like Spider-Man, sure. I didn't get the digital PS5 because I'd be missing out on the potential sales for that's another thing, is that if you get the digital only version of the console, when games on Amazon drop to $19.95 because they're having like a Black Friday sale or whatever, you're not guaranteed to see the same price on that on the PlayStation Store. And forget buying games used. You're kind of screwed in that regard. I mean, that's one of the reasons that all these companies are wanting to go digital, is to eliminate the used game market. Is that Ratchet's sister in the new Ratchet & Clank? We don't really know who she is in relation to him yet. Do you think Trump is going to go to... No. 8th, that's for 8th. Do you think PlayStation 5 could be backwards compatible with PS1, 2, and 3 games in a year or so? I have a feeling that that's part of their compete with Game Pass thing, that they're gonna put digital versions of PS1, 2, and 3 games on that service. I don't know that we'll ever see true backwards compatibility for those on the system, as far as being able to just take a disc from your collection, pop it in, and play it. How often do you order pizza? Every couple of weeks. Every couple of weeks. No, I didn't. I don't sell consoles when the new ones come out. We keep them. I mean, can't you kind of tell behind me? What can you see back there? A black NES, an NES top loader, a Super Nintendo, a Coleco, an N64, a Sega Master System, a Magnavox Odyssey 2, a TurboGrafx 16. I mean, there's a ton of stuff back there. You would think that you'd know I'm not going to sell stuff. Would you agree that 2001: A Space Odyssey missed out on the opportunity of releasing a superhero sequel, given the fact that the main character becomes a super being at the end? I don't really think that was the point. The point was that he'd kind of evolved past the point of caring about what goes on down there in the world of men. He had evolved past that. So if he had superpowers, he certainly wasn't going to help anybody else with them, because we had become like the buzzing of flies to him. Let's see. I've had my PS5 controller on charge for 10 plus hours, and when I just disconnected it, it said low battery. Did you get that official PlayStation DualSense recharge unit, or are you charging it by plugging it into the port on the front of the PS5? I charge mine. I bought the official charging unit, and while I don't like the way it's designed, because there is no pushing it down to lock the controller in like I had on my PS4 charging station, it charges the controllers fairly fast, and they last a long time. So, maybe you want to try getting you a charging dock instead, or make sure. The thing about, if you are using that same charging dock I do, you have to put that on there just a certain way. You're not going to feel a click or anything to confirm that it's on there and it's charging. And they can be easily nudged out of alignment to where they stop charging. These are things that I've learned since picking it up. So I'm not a huge fan of their official charging dock, but it does charge stuff really fast. Anything special planned for Christmas? Nope. Well, just because both me and 8th have a PS4 Pro, that doesn't mean that I would sell one. Wouldn't get nothing for it anyway. I'm charging it with the USB in front of the PS5. Well, if you don't have rest mode disabled, it might be turning off charging from that port. So I would suggest getting you a charging dock and see if you have better luck with the dock. No, Bloodborne doesn't run at 60 frames per second on PS5 because it was hard locked at 30 in the original version. Like I said, unless they release a patch for it, or it was a game that had an unlocked frame rate on PS4, you're not going to see 60 frames per second. You're only going to see 60 frames per second if they released an upgrade patch or if it was a game that had an unlocked frame rate to begin with. Do you think backwards compatibility is possible with PS5? Somebody already asked me that, and I already answered it. 7th, since The Last of Us Part 2 somewhat failed, do you think Naughty Dog will fix this mess with bringing back Jak and Daxter? I doubt it. I wouldn't be surprised to see a new Jak and Daxter, but I'd be surprised if it was Naughty Dog actually doing it. Are you going to take the vaccine when it comes out? Not immediately. I'm going to wait to see how other people react to it before I go take it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but, vaccines can affect different people different ways, and I just want to see how it affects other folks. I'm not talking like a long time. I'm talking like maybe a month or two, and just sit and watch how other people react to it, and then I'll go take it. Should Disney's Treasure Planet give a live-action remake? I would love to see one. Would you be surprised if The Last of Us 2 wins Game of the Year? No, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it deserves it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I voted for Ghost of Tsushima. Too late, I'm blue. Okay. Like I said, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I don't buy into all of these conspiracy theories. I took multiple vaccinations when I was a kid before starting kindergarten. 8th took all the same vaccinations that I had to take, including ones that I didn't have to take. And, he is not on the spectrum, and it didn't cause him any other issues. In fact, I don't know anyone who had any life-altering or permanent effects from taking their vaccines when they were a kid. Hard 8 thought Ghost of Tsushima was trash. Well, that's Hard 8 for you. Would you or 8th be capable of completing Crash Bandicoot 96 or Cuphead from beginning to end without getting hit once if someone bet you $100,000 to do so? Probably not. Like I said, I'm getting arthritis in my hands, and my my hand-eye coordination isn't what it used to be. 8th has beaten Cuphead, but I don't know if he could do it without getting hit once. Be careful, Hard 8 might roast you. So, if they brought back Jak and Daxter, would it even be the same game? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, look at the new Animaniacs. Making Yakuza an RPG makes it very refreshing. Will you pick it up? When it comes out for PS5, I will. Sebastian, hello. Hi, BitCloud. How's it going? It's totally experimental. Well, every Soul Scorcher, every vaccination is experimental when it first comes out. They have to test them. You know, they don't just make it and say, this will assuredly solve the problem. No, they take it through trials to verify that it doesn't have any deadly side effects and that it's effective in stopping whatever it was designed for. Look at the polio vaccine. Do you think Sly Cooper deserves a remake? Yeah, sure. No, I don't play Call of Duty. You guys know that. Did you know that Sonic 2 for Genesis made Tuesday the official release day for games and movies? Magic powers. I remember reading something about it years ago. I didn't pick mine up on a Tuesday. It came out on a Tuesday, and I didn't pick it up until that Friday, which just happened to be Black Friday. I was stupid. I didn't know any better. Will GTA 6 ever be announced? Who knows? Soul Scorcher, I will remind you once again with feeling that this is a gaming podcast. Thank you, sir. Please don't make me have to remind you again. When was the last time you played your PS3? Oh, a couple of years ago. The Last of Us Part 2 will not win Game of the Year. Well, here's to hoping. Do you think 2020 is the death of the movie theaters? Well, it's definitely one of the last nails in the coffin. They may, they may soldier on for a little while longer, but they're definitely on their last legs. How many consoles have you bought on launch day? Let's see. Xbox One, PS4, Wii U, PS5, Saturn. That's about it. Anybody excited for the Hogwarts game? I'm kind of curious about it, depending on what type of game it ends up being. You know, they've shown footage of it and said it was a single player RPG experience, but I want to see more of it before I decide if it's something that I want to delve into. I played a couple of the previous Harry Potter games. Like I played the one on PS1 and PS2, and Prisoner of Azkaban, which was a straight up Zelda clone, and I played Order of the Phoenix and the Half-Blood Prince. I think I actually platted the Half-Blood Prince, if I'm not mistaken. Favorite fictional Italian protagonist? Wow, that's specific. Rocky, Ezio, or Super Mario? Probably Rocky Balboa. Let's see. Do you think EA will make an open world Star Wars game to compete with Hogwarts? They'd be stupid if they didn't, if Disney gives them a license to do it. I'm not sure why that was hidden, so I'm going to show it. Why do Japanese people show no love to Western video games? Because they aren't their style of game, I guess. like just as some examples, Japanese gamers for the most part aren't going to give a crap about MLB The Show or John Madden, or most of them don't really care about military style first person shooters. There's a few out there, yeah. There's a small fan following in Japan, but it's not massive. What's your favorite console, anyways, man? Probably the PS2. Would you agree that the rumored live-action Batman Beyond film would be better off borrowing environmental elements from Blade Runner 2049? Well, I mean, they could be inspired from them. I don't know if it'd be a good idea to straight out borrow from them, but maybe some inspiration. Is there anything you're excited about coming to PS5 other than God of War? God of War is the next big one. That and Ratchet and Clank. Those are the two that I'm excited for right now. Thoughts on Rainbow Six Siege? Never got into the Tom Clancy stuff. Don't care for it. A friend from work went to Super K back when it launched, and they had a lottery, and there was thousands of people there, and they only gave one out. I don't even know what Super K is. Thoughts on Jake Paul? Don't care about him. Do you remember the game Urban Chaos? Vaguely. I don't think I actually owned it, but I remember seeing reviews for it. Does the I think you meant PS5. Does the PS5's liquid metal lifespan concern you? Not especially. Magic powers. The new Batman game looks good. Are you looking forward to it? Not especially. The Division was crap. I didn't even bother with the second one. Oh, Kmart. God, I haven't been in a Kmart in years. I don't think... Do they even still exist? EA isn't worried about anything. Alana Pierce got a job at Santa Monica. Great. $10 from Pillsbury. Thank you for the $10, sir. The Xbox Series X is the... Here, you get the dollar bill. There you go. Have a dollar bill. The Xbox Series X is the Steam Box 2.0. Remember Steam trying to compete in the consoles. Get well, my friend. Yes, I remember the Steam Box. I did not purchase one. Probably should have, just to have it for the collection, but I mean, it was just a stripped-down PC, so there wasn't much point. Seventh, how did you grow your winter coat like that? My facial hair grows fast. Very fast. I literally have to shave every day, or I look like I haven't shaved in a week. It grows super fast. What are your thoughts on Parler, a social media site for right-wingers who are tired of being censored by Facebook and Twitter? I got sent an invite for it a while back by some guy on Twitter, a friend of mine, and I didn't know what it was at the time, and I signed up for it, but I haven't used it. It's just a dead floating account with no, tweets on it. And, the message that they sent was like, in case Twitter locks everything down to where, none of us want to be on it anymore, here's an alternate site that runs similar to Twitter. And I was like, well, okay. And I signed up for it, but I haven't used it. Do you think EA will make a Star Wars game to compete with Grand Theft Auto? Man, you're kind of focused on that, aren't you? Maybe you should start a letter writing campaign. Does your beard grow like Gandalf's? I've never grown it out that long. I have grown it into a little point down to about right here, and that's as far as I've ever let it go. It's not a right-wing site. It just doesn't censor as much as well, okay, whatever. Like I said, I have an account on it. I just don't use it. Heck, it might have been closed down for disuse. I don't know. Why do you think Valve is focusing on Steam rather than making games? Because that's where they're making their money. I mean, they did make Half-Life Alyx, and that got a lot of positive press. Have I failed No Nut November yet? Well, I clean the pipes on a regular basis just because I'm old and I don't want to get prostate cancer. So, I've never participated in No Nut November. I don't know who participates in that. Wasn't that all? Didn't that all stem from that episode of Seinfeld where they all took a bet of not partaking in that particular activity? Isn't that where it all started? Yeah, but I thought the 4chan was inspired by that episode of frickin' Seinfeld. I got my free PSVR adapter in the mail today for PS5. Eighth already got his. That episode is called The Bet. Yeah, that's the one. I I vaguely remember the episode. I don't know if I ever actually watched it myself. I think maybe somebody told me about it, and I might have seen a few clips of it, but I can't remember if I actually ever watched the whole episode myself because I never was that big into Seinfeld anyway. I liked the Frogger episode because it was about Frogger, and that's really the only one that I have any firm memories on. Let's see here. $5 from Enemy TV. You get the dollar bill, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. That puts us up to $15. We are $35 away from the 10 o'clock goal. Thank you. Elaine even joined it, and then she saw JFK Jr. in that, and then handed in her money. Stimson J. Cat. I just noticed that. Stimson J. Cat. Valve has a history of never finishing something they start. Speaking of sitcoms, what's your favorite one from the 80s or 90s? I don't really have one because I typically am not a fan of sitcoms. If I had a sitcom that was my favorite, it would be Red Dwarf. Because I love Red Dwarf. I've loved Red Dwarf since I was a high schooler. It used to come on PBS when I was in high school, and I'd watch it late Saturday nights. It'd come on like right when Saturday Night Live was starting, and I would watch Red Dwarf, and then I'd switch over to watch Saturday Night Live. This was back when Saturday Night Live was still good. Bend Studios versus Valve. Which one lets down fans the most? I would say Valve. People have been waiting for Half-Life 3 for forever. Have you watched The Witcher? Yeah, I did. I liked it. Oh, and by the way, hold on to your ears, folks. We are 2 hours away from the end of the show. We are $35 short of the 10 o'clock extension. So 35. We've got 2 hours to make another $35, or that's when the show ends. Continuing on. Do you think we'll see a Left 4 Dead 3? I don't know. Maybe. I feel like Microsoft pretty much feels State of Decay filled that gap. SNL was good from 75 to 97. You're not really wrong there. I mean, I like Bill Hader. I like a lot of the stuff that Bill Hader did when he was on the show. And I think when him and that bunch split the scene, that's pretty much the last time that SNL was good. What about Married with Children? Well, of course I liked Married with Children. But I don't consider that your typical sitcom. I consider Married with Children more of a satire of the traditional sitcom. It was basically taking a big dump on the traditional sitcom. Why does time go so fast when you're on stream? Because I'm just so darn compelling. Left 4 Dead 3 needs to happen. Well, if you say so. I never got into the series. I'm not a big multiplayer guy. I burned myself out on that crap years ago. I just got so tired of it that I've never gone back into it. 7th, why are 2D Mario games hard? They're not that hard. I beat, let's see, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario 2, Super Mario 3, Super Mario World, New Super Mario Brothers. 2D Mario's not all that hard. In fact, I would say that 2D Mario games are one of the easier 2D platformers. Super Mario Brothers 2 from Japan's a little bit of a different story, but did you like the movie Unfriended? No, that movie was horse crap. Movie's terrible. It's one of the worst found footage films I've ever watched. And I've seen the reboot of The Blair Witch. Which is worse, EA or Capcom? Probably EA. The Lost Levels is Super Mario Brothers 2 from Japan. Do you think we'll get Super Mario Universe? Never can tell. You've never beaten the original Super Mario Brothers. It's not that hard, man. It's just, holding down run and pressing the jump button at the right time. It's not that difficult. I mean, well, it wasn't difficult for me when I was 13. I haven't played it in years. I'd have to sit down and reacclimate myself with it. And again, hand-eye ain't quite what it used to be because of arthritis, but, I liked Chronicle and I liked Cloverfield. The original Cloverfield. All the sequels suck. Did Billy and Jay from the Game Chasers ever open up that video game arcade bar? Well, that's actually Jay's project. Billy is, helping him out as far as helping to go pick up the arcade cabinets and whatnot. But that's all Jay's baby. And no, it hasn't opened yet. Jay is still building it out and picking a place to put it in and buying up all the arcade cabinets he wants. Oh, and there was something else I wanted to show you guys. I forgot to cancel my monthly subscription to Retro Game Treasure this month, so I got one. And check this out. For those of you who are retro collectors will know why this is significant. First of all, nothing special here. God of War 2. Sold it years ago, so I never rebought it because I had the PS3 remaster, but, Asteroids for PS1. It's decent. But here's the one that surprised me. Check this out. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs for Sega CD. Not a single crack on it. Disc is in pristine condition. It's got the manual and everything. This runs for $80 on price charting. $80. The subscription is only $34.99. And at first, I thought that they had just kind of messed up and sent me that by accident. But according to Billy, with the Game Chasers, once a month, they randomly pick one person and they send them a rare game in their subscription. So I guess I was the random person this month because they sent me an $80 game. They sent me over $100 worth of games for $34.95. So I kind of lucked out there. Let's see here. I hate to say this. I didn't like Super Mario Sunshine at all. Super Mario Land for the Game Boy was okay. But I didn't like Mario Sunshine at all. I hate to say that about Capcom since Devil May Cry is one of my favorite series of all time. Devil May Cry is good. I don't care for Review Tech USA because of his political views. I don't watch him enough to know what his political views are, and that's not something that's ever come up in conversation between him and me. Are we ignoring us? Do you think Xbox will be competitive this gen? I'm sure they will try to be. And they may have a level of success. I'm not going to make any predictions. It all depends on how well digital only is adopted, because they're focusing all their attention on Game Pass as the future of everything, which I predicted 10 years ago, but we'll see. Which is better, Arkham Trilogy or Dark Knight Trilogy? I like the Dark Knight Trilogy. I have no idea what that is. It's a Sega CD game of a comic book and cartoon from the 90s. Uh-oh. This is from 8th. Uh-oh. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie is about to start filming. Oh, God. Oh, God. That's either going to be a surprisingly good film or a total crapshoot. There is no middle ground with that one. My money is on crapshoot. 7th, have you or 8th tried out Phasmophobia? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe so. I don't play. 8th gets into some multiplayer. I don't play multiplayer at all. I like to just get into big open world games and explore. That's my big thing. And, action heavy stuff. But multiplayer, I've been out of that since 2004. I have not played any of the Watch Dog games. I have Watch Dogs. I don't believe I have Watch Dogs 2. But I have Watch Dogs, and I haven't even put it in my PS4. I never played it. I like Astro's Playroom, the Easter eggs, and the PlayStation history. Yeah, it was cool. It's a love letter to everything PlayStation. Why are the Sega CD cases so big? I don't know, man. The Saturn cases were the same way. I don't like them, never have liked them. They crack too easy. The hinges break too easy. Who is 8th? 8th is my son. Lord 8th. 8th is my son. I am 7th, hence he is 8th. Get it? I noticed you predicted quite a few things about video games almost 10 years ago. What goes into your predictions? How do you figure these things out so early? Because I'm old and history repeats itself. And plus, I work in the tech industry, and so, I have kind of a heads up on where things are going. When I started seeing that Microsoft was moving heavily into converting all of their major software packages into subscriptions, into cloud-based subscriptions, and when they started talking about having boxes that would run everything in your house, like your movies, your productivity stuff, your video gaming and everything, I knew then that they were going to start looking towards digitizing everything. And then the final straw was when they announced the creation of Azure all the way back in 2008 to compete with early cloud services by Amazon. And, that's when I made the prediction that, everything was going to start moving towards an online either downloading or streaming subscription service, that they were basically going to turn gaming into Netflix. And I predicted that 10 years ago. Do you think they'll bring back Heavenly Sword? Probably not. It wasn't that big of a financial success. It did okay, but it wasn't a huge hit for them. 8th saying there won't be a 9th. He's 17. He may change his mind. I didn't think I'd ever have a kid either, and then I changed my mind. I like the Dr. Sleep poster. Such a great film. Stranded J got me that. He sent it to me. This is something I share with my dad. I'm not extending this to whatever kid I will or won't have. There isn't going to be a ninth. I don't know. Maybe eighth regrets taking on the moniker of eighth now. You know, maybe he's getting to the point now where he wishes he had picked something for himself more original than just going along with me. And I mean, that actually started out as just as a joke, in that he was in a lot of my early YouTube videos, and I didn't want to give out his real name on video, so I just started calling him Eighth as, this is my son Eighth, because I thought it was a, kind of a funny thing for the videos, and he just kind of kept it. So, maybe now that he's older, and maybe he's gotten tired of having to explain where that came from. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Worst console I own? Probably the Jaguar. Do you think PlayStation All-Stars 2 will happen? Not likely. It didn't make much money. I haven't played Watch Dogs 3, so I can't speak to it. That's right. Heavenly Sword never got a trophy patch. Ninth could be female. I will say that my bloodline is predisposed to having boys. My dad, one boy. His dad, 3 boys. On my mother's side, there's a daughter every now and again. But on my dad's side, it's boys going back and back and back and back and back. Several generations, boys. Pinhead versus Dante. Oh, I don't know, because we never really got a good idea of the extent of Pinhead's powers. We only saw him torturing people. We don't really know the extent of what Pinhead is capable of. I mean, there was a point where Eighth kind of took pride in the name. He had a custom 8th ring, like I used to have a custom 7th ring, and of course, as he's gotten older, his hands have gotten bigger, so it doesn't fit anymore, and so he doesn't have a new one. And I would imagine it's because the whole idea of having a name that's based on my name has kind of lost its luster with him. I know on other social media platforms he doesn't use it, mainly so that fans of mine don't go chasing after him on all of his social media. I think Twitter's the only social media where he still uses 8th. Are you excited for Cyberpunk? Yes. Do you consider PS3 underrated? Well, considering it came in second place in the generation and it had so many good exclusives, then yeah, I would say it was underrated. Have ever been attacked by a dog? I got mauled by a Saint Bernard when I was a kid. It wasn't trying to maul me, it was trying to play, but it was so much bigger than me that it hurt me by accident. And so I ended up with some scratches on my face and my hands and stuff, some bite marks, but he didn't do any like serious damage to me. I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything. The dog wasn't rabid. Do you think the Hellraiser films will be rebooted? They need to be. Do you miss being with Sarah? Sarah was fun. Sarah had a good sense of humor. And you see, that's the thing with me. I mean, Sarah was cute, but, you know, in my lifetime, I've been with kind of mousy, awkward women. I've been with more adventurous women. I've been with like very voluptuous, attractive women, and what I've learned is that my type is the kind of, how would best describe this? My type of woman is the Drew Barrymore character in an Adam Sandler movie woman. The smart but socially awkward and yet sarcastic and funny woman. That's who I go for. Someone who can match me barb for barb and has kind of an off-center sense of humor, even a little bit of a dark sense of humor, but is, funny and fun to be around and, affectionate but not clingy. That's the type of girl that I go for. And they are rare. And, Sarah was kind of in between that and, mousy. She was kind of halfway. And so yeah, I miss Sarah. She was fun. Did you like Rogue One? Not especially. I won't be continuing the YouTube channel when, or rather, if he quits. Eighth is not interested in carrying on my legacy. Remember when He-Bot made himself look like a fool in that rant video? Yes. Turned on my fat PS2. The disk drive still works. I'm trying to find PS2 Slim so I don't use the fat. I have a fat and a slim, so I know where you're going with that. Hi, Ultra Steel. How's it going? As long as you have Sarah's contact info, she's not far off. Oh, she's far off, all right. She's in South Carolina, and I'm in Texas. We split when I moved. She didn't want to live in Texas. Sarah is the type of girl that she has a pattern to her life, and that pattern includes hanging out with her parents and hanging out with her friends, which she has like one or two close friends. And she wasn't willing to move to Texas and cut that out of the pattern of her life. And so she chose to stay. There wasn't anything, between us, any kind of animosity or anything like that. That was just, she had already kind of broken out of her daily routine by moving in with me. Prior to meeting me, she had been living in this little apartment down in South Carolina. And she had just this really daily routine of, go to her job, work a few hours at her job, come home and watch anime and play video games and then hang out with her best friend. And that was her whole life. And I kind of took her out of that and, kind of showed her or tried to show her, there's more to life than just what you're experiencing. And, she did kind of open up a little more while she was with me. And then when she said, well, this is a step that I can't take, I can't do this. We parted ways well, and she kind of just slipped back into her daily routine that she had before she and I met. So she just kind of went back to the way things were before. So, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the way that's what's going to make her happy. That's, fulfilling life for her. More power to her. Seventh, is it bad that I liked the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special more than The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? I haven't watched it, but I mean, if you enjoyed it more, that's on you. What are your thoughts on the fast food chain Wiener Schnitzel? I've never lived where one was. The only reason I know it exists is because the Descendants did a song about it. These live streams are always so chill and inviting. That's because it's an Ask Me Anything that never ends. Would you consider Rogue One and Solo prequels? Sort of. Yeah. I do, since this continues to be a point of conversation, I do want to make this clear. I never forced the moniker of 8th on 8th. I never forced him to get involved in my channel. There were a couple of times where I asked him to help out with this or that. If he had said no, I would have been fine with it. It just started as a joke meant to protect his real name from being on camera. That's all it was. And he could have picked out his own screen name or app, handle or whatever at any time that he wanted. I've never forced him to continue to be 8th or Lord 8th or what have you. That's always been his call. If he came to me today and said, I'm not doing this 8th thing anymore, I'm going to, from now on, you shall know me as Captain Quicknut, then I'd be fine with that. I wouldn't care. That's up to him. It's whatever makes him happy. So, and whatever grandchild that he may deliver to me one day, yes or no, it's totally up to that kid as to what name they want to pick out. I'm not going to try to influence them on that. They may not even have any interest in video games. The kid might not even like them. And YouTube may not even exist by that point. It might have been replaced by some newer social media thing. Maybe by then we'll all be walking around in some big Ready Player One style virtual reality experience. Who knows? How did she end up moving to North Carolina with you? Because when I lived in North Carolina, I lived right across from the South Carolina border, and we met through a mutual acquaintance. And we dated for a little while, and then she moved in with me. I liked Solo. I know a lot of people didn't like Solo, but I liked it. I mean, once you get over the fact that it's not Harrison Ford, it's a fun film. It feels like an adventure that a young Han Solo would have gone on. And there is chemistry between him and Chewie in the film. When will woke policies get out of movies and games? Someone will have to someone on the left side of politics will have to have some huge scandal that embarrasses everybody. And so then, the wokeness stuff will disappear for a while. And then after a few years, it'll come back. It's a cycle. The last time it disappeared was when the president got a Hummer in the Oval Office. I have not played Dragon Ball Kakarot. 8th has played it. No, 8th does not have any brands or tattoos. He wants a tattoo, but in Texas you have to be 18 to get one, so he's not old enough to get one yet. Why do some people think Ready Player One failed? Because it didn't make as much money at the box office as they expected it to. Which do you like more out of the two, blondes or redheads? Redheads. Someone who doesn't like video games. Such a person couldn't exist, lol. Well, I mean, honestly, 8th might not have ever gotten into video games if it wasn't for the fact that I was constantly playing them around him, and we got him into video games at an early age, because he had a VTech V Smile, and he had a Leapfrog handheld and stuff like that. He had the V Smile handheld, but I wouldn't say that he really got into video games until Little Big Planet came along, and I bought that game for him, and the rest is history. Did you make an offer on the house you live in? No, I don't have the money to do that right now. Did you try PSVR and PS5 yet? No, we have not, or at least I haven't. Maybe 8th has tested it, but I haven't. Did you like... Oh, that's a question to 8th. Sorry. Well, okay, Sebastian. Thank you for sharing. I had two brothers, one into video games, one not. Still got into them. Something tells me it would have happened anyway. Never can tell. Do you think Ghost of Tsushima will get Game of the Year? I hope it does. I mean, I've been with blondes, I've been with brunettes, I've been with redheads. I have enjoyed my time with brunettes the most, I would say, overall. What's your favorite food? Probably steak. A nice, good prime rib. Do you like Trisha? I don't know who that is. Are you still planning on suing the moving company for breaking all your stuff? I never said I was going to sue them. I said I should have. Too hard to prove now. I've been living here almost 4 years. Did you watch that Greek anime? Yeah, I watched it all. It was okay. It's kind of generic. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the action. Had good action, had good acting, had good animation. It's just it didn't really show me anything that I haven't seen before in 1,000 other properties. Greek stuff is Greek stuff. God of War is a little bit different because you've got a guy that's actually killing all the gods. It's a little bit of a different story. I mean, basically, this was just a roundabout retelling of the story of Perseus, really. How long will COVID be high level, do you think? Depends on how fast the vaccine gets distributed. And even then, it's something that I feel that it's going to end up being like the flu, and everyone's going to have to take a flu shot for it or a vaccine for it every year because it's going to mutate just like the flu does. Do you think a God of War anime in that same art style would work, and would you watch it? Well, sure. Sure I would. As to whether it'd work or not, I don't think it would be so much the art style as it'd be who's writing and directing it. I finished watching Berserk. Yeah, pretty effed up ending. But I don't get why a calculated person like Griffith would risk everything he worked for by semi-forcing himself onto the king's daughter. It is what it is, man. Sometimes when you're power mad, you make the wrong choices. I'm not big on sausage, so I couldn't really answer that, Shadow. Do you like the design of the PS5? I don't really care too much about the physical look of a console. It's the games that it plays. That being said, the PS5, when standing up, looks like an Autobot's vagina. So, it is what it is. No, I'm not into sword art. How about a StarCraft movie? I'd be afraid that a StarCraft movie would become like the Wing Commander movie. Do you think there will be a God of War 5? Yes, it comes out next year. Do you think people bought the PS5 too soon? Look, anytime there's a launch of a console, especially once the consoles switch to CD drives, you're going to have problems. There's always going to be defective units. And it's not everyone is going to have the same problem. You're going to have people that have problems with software glitches. You're going to have people that are going to have problems with hardware, whether it be a faulty GPU, a faulty drive, a faulty power supply, a faulty fan. I saw a guy on YouTube that his PS5 was working, but it was making a really obnoxiously loud noise. And him being kind of technical, he decided not to wait on Sony, and he opened it up, and what he found was that whoever had assembled that particular PS5, apparently all their cables that they use have these little sticker labels that they're supposed to pull off the stickers after applying, or they're supposed to pull off the cable before applying the cable, and this person didn't pull one of these labels off, and so it was sticking out from under a piece of the superstructure, and so then when the fan spun, it was hitting that little sticker, kind of like putting a poker card in the spokes of your bicycle. That's the noise he was hearing. So he ripped that sticker off and put the thing back together, turned it on, no more noise. I saw that in a video just the other day, like yesterday or the day before. But yeah, there's always, anytime you buy a launch day console, you're going to have people that have hardware failure. The thing of it is that because of the console wars, people tend to point to any number of people reporting errors as being the next red ring of death. And it hasn't been true so far. They've said it about the PS4. They said it about the PS4 Pro. And on the other side, people were complaining about Xbox One X's and saying that it was having problems and it was the next ring. And it all ended up being just regular failure, which the average failure rate is like of electronics, consumer grade electronics is 5%. So if you sell 1 million PS5s, right? You sell 1 million PS5s, then you can expect 50,000 of them to be bad. It is what it is. And the same goes for the Series X. You sell 1 million Series X's, 10% of that is 100,000. Cut that in half, 5%. You can expect 50,000 bricked consoles, or consoles that have a problem in one way or the other. Do you think Naughty Dog is making Uncharted 5? I don't know. They haven't really been talking much. Do you like High School of the Dead? I've watched both the anime and the live action version. I wasn't a big fan of either one. Did you laugh when Now That's So Real said ball jaw black? I have no idea what you're talking about. Did you think the wife from Shining was... No, Shelley Duvall has never been what you would call an attractive woman. I mean, she's literally olive oil. She was the perfect person to play olive oil in the Popeye movie. That was the most perfect casting that has ever been. I don't know that I trust Naughty Dog to put out a good game under their current management. Let's put it that way. We'll just leave it at that. The Uncharted movie will fail, I know it. Well, you never can tell. You never can tell. Movies based on video games often miss more than hit, but every now and again a good one comes out, so who knows. 7th, do you think there will be a point where nothing gaming related that comes out will interest you? If that already has happened, will you quit modern gaming? Well, you never can tell. You never can tell. It just depends on the direction the games go. If games start to all become game as a service type thing, then yeah, I'll probably just stick to my retro games and never play anything new. Favorite Spider-Man actor? Tobey Maguire. I don't think he was great when in the suit because he didn't quip enough. He didn't tell enough one-liners and jokes as Spider-Man. But he was about as perfect of a Peter Parker as you could get. At least as far as a traditional Peter Parker goes. They've kind of modified who Peter is over the years, and as far as his personality goes. But as far as traditional Peter Parker, he pretty much hits the nail on the head. And don't get me wrong, I like Tom Holland too. But right now I'm wondering how well Holland will grow into that role. Thoughts on the Phantasm films? I've been trying to get into them, but I don't see the appeal. Well, they're a very niche horror series. They're quite different than your traditional horror film. So, if you watch the first one and you don't like it, then chances are you're not going to like any of the others either. I'm hoping... Do you like Yuri as Spider-Man in the games? Haven't really paid much attention. I'm hoping the Venom 2 turns out great. I'm hoping so too. Shelley Duvall could be grating in The Shining, especially since she's not very true to the character from the book at all. Her character in the book was a lot more assertive and was not, as absolutely terrified as Shelley Duvall is in that film. If you want a closer idea of what the character was like in the book, you'd want to watch the miniseries, even though the miniseries isn't very good. Her character, Wendy, is a lot truer to the book, which, if I'm not mistaken, the actress that played her in the miniseries was, what was her name? Rebecca De Mornay from The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. That was her. Favorite film adapted from a movie? Okay, now I'm confused. Do you think Spider-Man 2 still holds up? I've got the 4K Blu-ray, and I think it looks great. I think all the original Spider-Man films hold up well. Uh, I like the third one, but you just kind of have to mentally remove all the Venom crap out of it. That would have been a good sequel if it had just been Sandman and New Goblin. The studio forcing Sam Raimi to put Venom in it is the major problem with that movie. I mean, the stuff about every problem with it, the evil emo Peter and all of that, it all stems from that Venom suit. And I mean, they basically ripped that off of Superman 3 anyway. No, I'm not looking forward to Far Cry 6. Hi, R.W. Lemon. How's it going? Did you play Spider-Man on PS1? Fun fact, it was narrated by Stan. I didn't play it on PS1. I had it for Dreamcast. Same game, but with better graphics. Do you think Spider-Man 2 was boring? No. Some people think it was the best superhero film of all time. It's on up there. I mean, Doc Ock was great in that movie. Doc Ock was quite good. In fact, me and Eighth will probably be rewatching Spider-Man 2 at some point this weekend or going into my Thanksgiving break. This week I have to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then I'm off from Thursday. I get off on Thursday, and I don't go back until the following Wednesday. I have like 6 straight days off. And in December, I'm off December 21st, and then I don't go back till like January 4th or 5th, I think. 7th, has 8th opened the secret door in Demon Souls? No, he knows where it is, but the item that's in it is not worth it to him to go through all that extra work. Yes, I know about Shelley Duvall's mental illness. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do. It seems like DC and Marvel are both doing the same thing because you have Toby coming back as Spider-Man, you have Michael Keaton coming back as old Batman, so they're both kind of doing the same thing in their own respective ways. It's weird. Did you like watching Nancy Grace? I never watched Nancy Grace. I don't watch political shit. No, I'm not really looking forward to the next Batman game. If you're talking about Gotham Knights or whatever it's called. Yeah, I'm excited about Henry Cavill coming back, but it sounds like they're treating him like the Marvel universe treats Hulk, and that moving forward, at least for a while, instead of having his own movies, he's just going to show up as a supporting character in other characters' films. And there have been rumors that based on the success of the Snyder Cut, that Affleck might actually get his own Batman movie after all, as a separate universe Batman to whatever Robert Pattinson's working on. 7th favorite E3 quote. Don't really have one. Oh, magic powers. Did you ever finish Altered Carbon? No, I didn't. And since it got canceled, I don't regret that. Have you ever watched Mel Gibson's The Fat Man? No. Do you guys know that Mel Gibson's next movie, he'll be playing a kick-ass Santa Claus that's being hunted by an assassin? Yeah, that's the actual plot. There's this rich kid, and Mel Gibson's Santa Claus gives this kid a piece of coal for Christmas, and so in revenge he hires a hitman to kill Santa Claus, and it turns out that Santa Claus is kind of well skilled in the killing arts himself. So it's Santa versus an assassin. This is a real movie and it's R-rated. I don't remember the name of it, but I saw the trailer. I couldn't get into I watched all of The Punisher, but I really couldn't get into it because every time I looked at him, he didn't look like the Punisher to me. He looked like Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver. I mean, honestly, not as far as how the character was written, okay? But as far as actors who have played Frank Castle, my favorite has been Thomas Jane. I wasn't a fan of that movie because, they changed so much in the writing and the way it was done. And Frank Castle does a lot of non-Punisher things in that movie. But as far as Thomas Jane's acting performance, he's been my favorite Punisher so far. Thoughts on Super Mario 3D World? I wasn't a big fan of it. Have you seen that Mel Gibson film, Get the Gringo? I saw it years ago. I can't remember whether I liked it or not. I want to say that I did. 7th, do you wish life was 3 times as long? I want to live life so that way I can have a gaming life, an animating, working life, and the third life hanging out with my family and friends. I know what you mean. Unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. I mean, I'll be lucky if I get another 20 years at this point. I'll be lucky. I mean, my dad lived to be 61. I'm going to be 46 soon. 15 years. In just 15 years, I'll be the same age my dad was when he died. So, if I make it to 20 more years and make it to 66, I'll consider myself very fortunate. I was not a fan of the Indian in the cupboard. Disappointing games of 2020. Well, I was disappointed with Maneater. I wanted that to be a lot more fun than it ended up being. I haven't been disappointed by any Sony exclusives except for, of course, Last of Us 2. So, but then again, I wasn't a big fan of Last of Us 1. No, I haven't bought any new posters lately. Don't be superstitious. By 2060, we'll still have geriatrics 7thCast. Oh, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. That's 40 years from now. That would make me 86. I don't think I'm going to make it to 86, folks. I got too much wrong with me. But at the same time, when I'm saying that, I'm basically like, pretending to know more than God does. And so it wouldn't surprise me if he made me live to 100 just to prove me wrong. But, I mean, look at me. I'm 46 and I look, I know I talk about how I don't age, but that's mainly only because I shave all of this off most of the time so you don't see all the gray. I don't get wrinkles, but I got gray for days. Crash 4 is a good game. I haven't played it. Did you see people get swirlies in high school? No, saw plenty of wedgies, or Melvins if you prefer the Bill and Ted parlance, but never really saw a swirly. My dad died last year. Sorry for your loss at age 66. He probably would have lived a little longer if he didn't have cancer because he had a history of really bad hypertension. I don't have, at least, a few years ago, I had a heart stress test and I passed it all with flying colors. They didn't see any signs of me having potential heart problems in the future or anything like that. Mine is all mostly just, arthritis and type 2 diabetes. Gray hair is a sign of wisdom. Then why are there so many old dumbasses in the world? Yes, I liked Constantine with Keanu, even though it wasn't really anything like John Constantine. That character and traditional Hellblazer were way off. Well, Kevin, are you entering your Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White era? That's the real question. Did you like Bruce Almighty? Yes. I even liked Evan Almighty to a certain degree. Most of it was dumb, but there were a few funny bits in there here and there. To cure diabetes, stop eating. Well, here's the thing, okay? I am barely type 2 diabetic. There is a line where once you cross that line, you are considered type 2, and I am just like a hair's fraction across that line, just barely over it. And the only reason that I am considered type 2 was because they changed the standards a few years ago so that more people would be included in that list, and some people think that's just so they could sell more metformin to people. But if I had been tested 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't be considered type 2 now. But because they lowered the standard to where you don't have to have as high of a number to be considered in that category, I'm now type 2. Type 2, you're typically born with. Type 1, you're typically born with. Type 1 is the type of diabetes where you're having to take the insulin shots, and you have to be very careful because there's so many things that could potentially kill you very easy. Type 2 is something you develop. It's not something you're born with, usually due to bad eating habits, bad lifestyle, things of that nature. I'm not a fan of Robbie Reyes. My preferred Ghost Rider would either be Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch. And that's because for me, Ghost Rider has always been on a motorcycle. I can't get behind the idea of Ghost Rider driving around in a Dodge Charger. I just can't. I'm sorry. If the world opened up, would you go to too many games? No, it's too far of a drive. I'll definitely be going back to Retropalooza if Jay revives it, but not too many games, too far away. If I was popular enough to where they paid me as a personality to fly up there and sign autographs, sure, but I'm not that popular, so that'll never happen. Type 2 diabetes is something you can totally reverse just by altering your lifestyle and your diet. Type 1 is not being reversed. There is no cure. There's only treatment. If you could go into a game world, what game would you go into? I would just get an Animus so I could go back in time to all these cool ancient historical places. Have you ever met Jay and Silent Bob? No. I want to go to Retropalooza so bad. I'm in New Jersey. Well, I'm sure there are gaming conventions that, when all this is over with, are held near New Jersey. But yeah, Retropalooza is in Texas only. What would you do if a guy told you he would break every bone in your body if he saw you smoking? I'd probably laugh at him. Are you going to watch the Game Awards? I don't know. Maybe. May just watch a recap afterwards. How come we haven't gotten a Danny Ketch version of Ghost Rider on the screen yet? Uh, because some people saw him as a generic character, that there wasn't enough to his personality, whereas uh, Johnny Blaze was probably more well known because he was the classic Ghost Rider from the 70s. Do you believe in ghosts? Yes. I've seen them with my own two eyes. Told that story a dozen times, not going to repeat it. Did you like the film Set It? No, not my type of movie. Do you think Jedi Fallen Order will win awards at the Game Awards? I kind of doubt it. It might, but I kind of doubt it. I already had a 4K TV. It just doesn't have HDR. It's one of the earlier 4Ks that didn't have HDR on it. It's a 70-incher. I will eventually replace it. I'm just not in a hurry to do that right now. Which they had a really good deal on an LG, or not LG, LG 70-inch 4K not too long ago. Had HDR and all the trimmings, and it was like $500 or $600, but I didn't get it because, it was too close to Christmas time. If they have another deal like that after I get my tax return and my bonus, maybe I'll revisit that. Do you like dogs? I love dogs. I have two right now. I have a rat terrier and a Chiweenie. They don't allow big dogs. My landlord doesn't allow big dogs, so the maximum weight limit is up to 20 pounds. And so I have smaller dogs. I've had them for years. They're both old. One's 11 and the other one turns 15 next month. But I've had all kinds of dogs, mostly Chihuahuas. I've had mostly Chihuahuas throughout my life. But also, when I was a kid, I had a German Shepherd named Caesar, and he was awesome. The fuck are those green dots? Oh, those are my stars. I have this little light effect thing. People were complaining that it was too dark behind me when I was doing the 7thCast, and so I bought this little thing that projects stars and a glowing nebula in the background. I couldn't get a 65-inch RW Lemon because I'm so used to having a 70-inch by now that going back down to a smaller size, I would be irritated by it. I either have to have the same size or bigger. Did you like the film? No. Did you like the movie? Yes, I liked Ace Ventura, and I liked the second one too. I did not like the prequel with the little kid. The 120 hertz LG costs over $1,000. Well, I paid $1,500 for the 70-inch that I have now, so that's not that big a deal. 7th, I saw both seasons of Mindhunter. Man, why does the good stuff have to be canceled? Season 3 is not going to happen for some time now. Yeah, it sucks. I love that show too. Do you think journalists asking Souls games for an easy mode is stupid? Yes. The whole point of those games is the challenge. You give it an easy mode and you're taking the challenge out of it. Hence, you remove the whole point of the game. Uh-oh. One hour left, folks. 1 hour left. We've had $15 in donations. We are $35 away from the 10 o'clock goal. So if y'all want me around for more than another hour, collectively, some of you are going to have to cough up another $35. You like this better than Twitch. You're not the only one to have said so. And judging by the amount of people that are commenting, I would say that several of you agree with that sentiment. Did you see the recent Best of Both Worlds with Fat Gamer and Super? No, I haven't watched it. It didn't even show up in my subscription feed. Go figure. Maybe I'll watch it tonight, but I haven't seen it. Not yet. Top 10 games on PS3. Man, that's pretty far removed. Are you the only gamer amongst the people you work with? No. Who's your favorite character from Mindhunter? My favorite character is that I can't remember his name, but the serial killer they keep going back to interview. The one that's like their favorite serial killer to interview. That guy. Do you think Jesse Ventura should run for president? I don't know, because I don't know how well of a job he did as governor of Minnesota. I like the actor that plays Ed Kemper in that show, yes. Do I like the actual Ed Kemper? No. Let's not try to be funny now. Have you played Observer? I dabbled with Observer a little bit on the PS4. And the gameplay of it was kind of weird, and I couldn't get into it. I liked the acting in it, and I liked the visual style of it, but the gameplay itself was kind of weird. Anything in sci-fi in recent years you think is worth watching? The Expanse is probably the only thing for me right now. Well, you know, a few years is different for you than it is for me. When people ask me about sci-fi, one of the first things that comes to my mind is the movie Dark City, which I think is one of the best, more darker, ethereal sci-fi movies to be made in the last 20 years. Actually, longer than that. Let's say 25 years. I keep forgetting how old that movie is. If you've never seen Dark City, you really need to watch it. No, I didn't like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Do you think PS3 and 360 game prices will go up? I think we're still a little bit a ways from that. I mean, there's a few rare ones here and there, but for the most part, you can get just about anything on PS3 or 360 for cheap. No, my dad wasn't into politics. Are you looking forward to the final season of Lost in Space on Netflix? We'll see. I thought the first two seasons were pretty good. Having eye problems today, guys. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, Halloween 3 should have been its own thing. They shouldn't have slapped the Halloween name onto it. It should have just been called Season of the Witch. Did you know Cuties is getting nominated for an Oscar? Great. Super. That's just wonderful. Who was the best Joker? If I really had to pick one best one, I'd probably say Mark Hamill, to be honest with you. But, I liked them all for different reasons, with the exception of Jared Leto. I didn't care for his much at all. But, Nicholson and Hamill and Heath Ledger, they were all great. I just didn't like his performance in that role. And to be honest with you, there haven't been that many performances of his that I did like. I don't know. He doesn't really impress me one way or the other as an actor. And I don't think he really brought anything new to the role. Most of his Joker was aesthetic more than anything else, the look of it. And he played the Joker more as kind of almost like a Tony Montana gangster type of character. And I don't know. It's like he tried to sound kind of like Heath Ledger, but he was acting as far as like the way he handled things and the way he dressed and the businesses he was involved in. He was Tony Montana from Scarface, but doing a Heath Ledger's Joker voice impersonation. Did you ever need braces or have to have teeth removed? I have teeth that should be removed. I just haven't had them removed. I've got wisdom teeth that should come out, and I just have been putting it off for a long time. I never did have to have braces, no. My teeth came in straight. Don't Breathe was okay. I wouldn't call myself a super fan of it by any stretch of the imagination, but it was all right. Wasn't too bad. Nope. Wow, questions just kind of died all of a sudden. Where'd y'all go? Y'all just kind of disappeared on me. 7th, I am ashamed to say this, but I never played the God of War games. Does Kratos have a Cerberus as a pet dog? No. He does not. You need to rectify that. No, the saying is, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Not, do you wanna? No, Ultra Steel, you're not. Did you like Panic Room? It was... What's your thoughts on the new Batman animated movie? I haven't seen it. Did you like Yu-Gi-Oh? No, I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh. Do you like Joaquin Phoenix as Joker? I liked his performance, but I think he's a shitty Joker because Joker is an insane criminal mastermind and Joaquin Phoenix is just insane. So, they don't really have the character right. Did you enjoy Faxanadu on the NES? I loved Faxanadu. I beat that game. I beat that game way back in the day. Fun game. That's because it was heavily inspired by both Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Have you ever met Jeff Goldblum? No. I haven't really met that many celebrities, guys. I've met Bruce Campbell. I've met William Shatner. I've met Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I've met several pro wrestlers like Ric Flair and Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan and a few others. I've met Lita Ford, if you remember who Lita Ford was. I met the original Leatherface. I have met that guy who's like the best Jason out of all the Jasons, Kane Hodder. I've met him. I met the guy from that was the star actor in American Werewolf in London. I met Leah Thompson from Back to the Future. I've met Kurt Hammett, the lead guitar player for Metallica. And, of course, I've met the Descendants with the exception of Milo. Never met him in person, but I did have email correspondence back and forth with him for years. He recently killed all of his social media, so I've lost track of him, but I don't know who Jill Stein is. Yeah, in fact, I have a Army of Darkness poster over here that's autographed by Bruce Campbell, and it says to 7th and 8th, and then it's signed Ash. He didn't even sign his real name. He just signed Ash and then underlined it. I got that at a horror movie convention called the Mad Monster Party. And there's some other ones. I met Estelle Getty once from the Golden Girls at Disney. She was at Disney MGM Studios one time when we were there. Michael Jackson walked past me once at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, but I didn't get anywhere near him. He had a crowd of security people around him and a bunch of kids clamoring for his autograph. But, I was standing there on the corner when he went walking by with his little surgical mask and all that shit on. I met George Kennedy once. George Kennedy was the actor that played Leslie Nielsen's older partner in the Naked Gun movies. Met him once. I met the actor who played the principal, Mr. Belding, from Saved by the Bell. I rang up his groceries when I was a cashier at a grocery store when I was a kid. I gotta say, 7th, I'm not normally into punk songs. When I first heard your song, I was just happy that you made it. Now I've listened to it a few times. It's gotten stuck in my head. Good. Then it accomplished its goal. Do you know Frank Sinatra? Yeah. I've seen Bruce Campbell cameos in Spider-Man movies. Yeah. Bruce Campbell's been in a lot of movies. A lot of good ones and a lot of crappy ones. Are you planning any more songs in the future? Yeah, eventually. There is a couple of things that I would like to do before the end of the year if I could, but right now making the songs the way that I made Smilin' Jack is kind of a pain in the butt because I actually have to set my amp up on this desk and then put this streaming microphone next to it, and that's the only way I can get the guitar into the recording software. What I want to do is there's a really nice Boss 80 foot pedal that I want to buy where I won't even need the amp. I can just program in the effects that I want and have some studio monitoring headphones, plug those in, and record my guitar straight out of that foot pedal into my software through an interface device. But that's going to collectively that's going to be about $400, and I don't have $400 to spend on it right now. What do you think of Eddie Murphy selling Coming to America sequel to Amazon for $130 million? Good to be the king, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how good it's going to be because it's been so long since Coming to America came out. I mean, I saw that in the theater. I saw it in Panama City Beach. I was on summer vacation in Panama City Beach, and I saw that at a theater there. A couple of years later, I saw Terminator 2 in that same theater. When I went back there for vacation a couple of years later. And I know that's kind of a trend right now is resurrecting, making sequels to really old films. I don't know how good it'll be. What was your longest stint of not sleeping? Probably about 30 hours. Do you think Walmart will go out of business due to Amazon? I don't know about that. Walmart's awful big, and they still, even in the midst of the pandemic, they're still making money. They're just adjusting for staffing and whatnot. Are you getting Sackboy? Yeah, because 8th wants to play at co-op. Yeah, I like Trading Places. Trading Places is good. And of course, Coming to America takes place in the same universe as Trading Places because, Uh, the two old commodities brokers were hobos, the hobos that he gives all that money to in Coming to America. Randolph and Mortimer, if I remember right. Godfall. I haven't played it. Looked like crap, so I didn't buy it. eBay or Amazon? Which do you prefer? Amazon. I prefer new shit over used shit. You know, I'll get used stuff if I have to, but I prefer new. Dun, dun, dun. Ba-ba-ba-boo. Man, I'm going to sit on my fat butt and watch lots of movies during Thanksgiving break. I'm going to catch up on all the movies I've been wanting to watch but haven't gotten around to watching them. Like there's a horror movie on Shudder. I can't remember the name of it, but it's an exorcism movie, and I've been meaning to watch it, and I keep putting it off. I'm watching that sucker, and then I'm going to watch all my traditional Thanksgiving movies, like usually for Thanksgiving I marathon all the Harry Potter movies again. It's a thing I do once a year. I've already watched 2 of them, the first 2. Already marathoned The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. But I'll rewatch both of the Home Alone movies. I'll rewatch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Dutch, which Dutch is a comedy that takes place during Thanksgiving weekend. And there's a couple of others I usually watch during this period. I can't think of them off the top of my head right now. I'm not what I'd call a big fan of Harry Potter, but I have fond memories of the films because I was still married when the series started. And so when the first film debuted, I was living in Atlanta, and I'd been married less than a year, and me and my wife at the time went to see it, and we actually saw pretty much all of the Harry Potter films in the theater together. Pretty much all of them. Except for maybe the Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. I can't remember if I saw those in the theater with her or not. Yes, I've played Dark Sector. I think Dark Sector is proof that if it was popular enough, Kroll would make one heck of a good action RPG. My favorite Harry Potter film is Prisoner of Azkaban because I love Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman was great in that movie. Dennis the Menace came first as a comic and a cartoon, but Dennis the Menace the movie came after Home Alone, and the movie of Dennis the Menace has obvious influence from the Home Alone films. You know, Dennis the Menace in the comics wasn't big on setting traps for criminals and stuff like that. He was more just about annoying the crap out of Mr. Wilson, his neighbor. I remember the one with the tournament. Okay, that would have been Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. 7th, do you think Rowling intended for Sirius Black to resemble Charles Manson a little bit? Maybe, visually, I don't know. I just really like Gary Oldman as an actor. I think he's great. I can't think of a Gary Oldman movie or a movie I've seen him in where he wasn't great. I'm sure there are some crappy Gary Oldman movies out there. I just haven't seen them. Do you? I have already answered that. For some reason, I thought that was a new one that had popped up, but it was the one I just answered. I do want to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I don't have the $70 to spend on it right now because I'm gearing up for buying Eighth all of his Christmas stuff, and that's not one that he's particularly in any rush to play. So right now I'm only looking at buying PlayStation 5 games that he cares about, and right now the only other one that he cares about is Sackboy. So, I want to play Valhalla, but I don't have $60 to spend on it. Do you think Shannon Price killed Gary Coleman? No. I don't know who killed Gary Coleman. As far as I knew, he died of natural causes. But I was talking about Gary Oldman, not Gary Coleman. Trying to birdcage me on that one. Not that many people will get that joke. Seventh, guess which new Nintendo game I just got in the mail? I don't know. I have no idea, Ultra Steel. What? Kirby's Puberty Adventure? I don't know. Why does everyone hate Jurassic Park 3? Because it wasn't very good. Hyrule Warriors. Tried the demo. Well, Eighth really liked the original Hyrule Warriors, so I assume he'll like the sequel. He has it on both Wii U and Switch. So that might be one that I add to his Christmas list. Because he does like that first one. And I can't even tell you what the last game we bought for Switch was. It's been a while. There's just not that much stuff for Switch that we don't already have. As far as like exclusives goes, there's a few. Like I never bought ARMS, and we don't have like Pokken or any of that stuff. Let me see here. Let me pull up. Let's see. Do I even have those in my Game Eye? I don't really know. Let's see. Refine. Find a Nintendo Switch. Apply. Let's see. Astral Chain, Blaster Master Zero, Cave Story Plus, Dark Souls Remastered, Diablo 3, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Kamiko, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Mario and Rabbids, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Monster Hunter Generations, Octopath Traveler, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Salt and Sanctuary, Starlink, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, The World Ends With You Final Remakes, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's all we have for the Switch. Just bought, for the most part, exclusives. What was your party of choice in Dragon Age Inquisition, if you remember? I don't remember. I know that I picked as my primary character one of the human factions, but that's about all I remember. 7th, Ghost of Tsushima was one of the games on Black Friday on PSN. Do you recommend it? Yes. What else? I don't know, because I don't know what you got and what you don't. Do you think this gen for gaming was dull? No. It's been a great generation for gaming. Lots of great titles. Been a lot of crap too, but that happens every generation. If there's been one constant in gaming from one generation to the next, it's that there's way more crappy games than there are good ones. Ever has it been, and ever shall it be. Do you think Broken Games HD is reliable on gaming news? I have no idea. Every now and again I'll watch Weapon Wheel, and that's about it. depending on who they have on there and what their topics of discussion are. Did you like any anime games this gen? I'm told that the Fairy Tail game is good. We have it, but I haven't played it yet. 8th said he liked it, but I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. You know how that goes. Oh, my eyes. Knight Rider, Ghost Rider. 7th, will Sega ever make a home console again? Highly unlikely. It is extremely highly unlikely that will ever occur. Do you remember when Gamer Nate threatened to slit somebody's throat with it? No, I don't remember that. I never was a follower of Gamer Nate. The only time I ever had any interaction with him is when he ran his mouth to me about something, and I didn't even know that he had, and I heard about it third party, and then I responded to him. Didn't really have a whole lot of interaction with him at all. Seventh, have you ever been to Albertsons, and did you like shopping there? I think all of mines have went out of business over the... I don't know that I've ever been in an Albertsons. Maybe when I was living in Florida, I might have stumbled into one once or twice. But it must have not been anything all that impressive because I have no memory of it one way or the other. When to be honest with you, when I lived in Florida, I did most of my grocery shopping at Save-A-Lot, which is kind of the same thing as Aldi's, if you've ever been in an Aldi's. And it's because it was just way cheaper, and I was living by myself, so why wouldn't I buy cheap groceries there? And there were Save-A-Lots all over the place in Florida. And so, I'd go in there and buy off-brand cereal and off-brand spaghetti sauce and, all that kind of stuff, and save me a ton of money because all of it was way cheaper than what you could buy at other grocery store. And I would still be doing that if it wasn't for the fact that there's only one Aldi's anywhere near me, and it's all the way out in Pflugerville, which is over a half-hour drive from me, and so I just don't bother. I mean, nowadays, I don't even go grocery shopping. I just order it from H-E-B and have it delivered to my porch. I just go onto the app, tell them what I want. It will be here in so many hours. Okay. Ring the doorbell and leave. Thank you. Have you ever thought about changing your channel into the same as Trip Setters? I have no idea who that is. Never heard of him. Don't know who that is at all. What is Trip Setter and what does Trip Setter do? I mean, my channel is dead anyway. Let's be honest. I haven't broke 2,000 views since my video about the Polymega, which has been delayed to February, I might add, again. And the last time I broke 3,000 views was my review of Crackdown 3. So, tipster? No, never. No, I'm not. I am not a news for views whore. I'm never going to do that. Not my thing. I'm certainly not looking to be, a Keemstar wannabe. No. Did you ever like the bakery area in those Save-A-Lot stores? Like, did they have goodies like cookies or cooked chicken? They didn't really have a bakery in the ones that I was in, Save-A-Lot or Aldi's. They had packaged cookies that were like off-brand Chips Ahoy and stuff like that, but they didn't have like an actual bakery where, or a deli where you could go and have them slice you some roast beef or whatnot. No. Polymega seems to be vaporware. Well, I'm giving them till this February because supposedly they had the hardware. The problem was with Walmart. Walmart was apparently being slow to pay them for the hardware shipment that they had ordered from Polymega. And that was the main cause of this most recent delay, was that they weren't getting their money from Walmart. And allegedly that was because the person who was in charge of their account at Walmart left and was replaced by somebody else, and that person that replaced them wasn't briefed on the whole Polymega thing. So I'm giving them that chance to fix things with Walmart, and then if they delay it again, then I'm probably just going to cancel my pre-orders and be done with them. I already answered the Sega thing. Yes, I have a Raspberry Pi. Why do I want the Polymega? So I can actually use my actual games. Because there's some stuff that I don't have installed on that Pi. Like my Raspberry Pi doesn't have any Sega CD or PS1 games on it. Whereas this thing can run Sega CD, PS1, and Jaguar CD games and TurboGrafx 16 CD games. Maybe you should start the channel over. I'm a little bit too old for that. No, I would never run for president. By the way, we're at the 8:30 mark. We've got 30 minutes left. We're still $35 short of the goal. Sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie. I'm not a pie person. There's not a whole lot of pie that I eat. I'm leaving that open for a joke that I'm not going to take because I don't want to piss off the advertisers. I like apple pie. I like chocolate cream pie. And really, that's about it. What are your thoughts on drugs being decriminalized in Oregon? Well, I mean, I assume that what they're planning on doing is similar to what was done in some countries in Europe, which is a program called harm reduction. And the way harm reduction works is they make all the drugs legal, and then they have government-funded programs where you can sign up to be where anyone who wants to quit the drugs can go and take these treatments on the government's dime to get off of them. And apparently it's been successful in some countries, so I assume that's what Oregon is trying to do. I do not think it's a good idea, especially with, in regards to crack and meth and especially heroin. But, you're either going to end up with a lot of crime going down because there's no more drug crime, or you're going to end up with an entire state that's more or less like the city of San Francisco. And let's drop that because it's kind of sort of a political question. Did you watch Alive on Netflix? No. 7th, you know what I wish Nintendo would ditch in their inclusion of video games, amiibos. If people want to collect them, whatever, but I hate how they're put into games. I've never got into that either. I was in a review tech stream the other day where a YouTube mod Rich didn't know was in the chat censoring comments. Thoughts? The only mods that should be censoring comments are ones that you've assigned yourself. There shouldn't be random mods in your stream. Now, there is... it is true that there is basically a bot in YouTube that will automatically censor offensive words from the chat. It won't ban people, but it will block them. Like, for example, Ultra Steel's one of Ultra Steel's previous comments was blocked on here because he used the S word in his comment, and so the YouTube bot blocked it. Because the thing of it is, you can be demonetized not just for saying a bad word on camera. If you let bad words be used in your chat, you can get demonetized for that as well. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. 7th, how would you save Sega from going third party? I would have had them do a better job of securing contracts with third-party developers so they didn't get shortchanged by Sony on the third-party front, for one thing. Okay. So we got about 20 minutes left. Looks like that $35 ain't showing up tonight, folks. Does 8th work out? We do have a weightlifting machine in the garage. This is not the season for getting a lot of donations because people are saving all their money for Christmas gifts. It's kind of funny, though, that a lot of y'all tried to talk me back. One of the things that y'all tried to talk me back into leaving Twitch and coming back to YouTube was you were getting way more donations on YouTube than you were on Twitch. Like that was ever a major factor for me to begin with. 7 thoughts on Robert Englund joining Stranger Things. Depends on the character he's playing. What's Kane Hodder like in real life? Huge and imposing. He's a big dude. And he will pretend to choke you to death for a picture if you ask him. Hi, Traffic R6. I do get more activity than I did on Twitch, that's for sure. That is for certain. I have considered moving the 7th cast to a different day because it seems like there's been lately a lot of YouTubers that have switched to streaming on Saturday nights. And I've thought about like just looking around to find a day where fewer people stream. But I don't know if that would really help anything. What's 8th doing? The last time I checked, 8th was working on some of his schoolwork. Have you ever met Bill Moseley? Now that's one I have not met. I have not met Bill Moseley. Haven't met him. Me and 8th did meet the original actor, the first guy to wear the Godzilla suit in the Godzilla movies. He passed away a couple of years ago, but we did have a chance to meet him. The first time your comment Traffic was censored because you used the S word. The first time I ever saw your videos was on the Xbox One launch. What a blank show. Yes, it was. Have you ever got your hands on that White Walker again? No, I'm still vaping the Vape Dojo Black Menthol Dragon stuff. This right here. Never have gotten any more White Walker. They've never found a store that carried it here in my area. Well, Shadow, I can choose to show those comments if I don't mind having my ad revenue ruined by it. Not that I make a lot of ad revenue off of the 7th cast anyway. Seventh, did you ever like going to Guitar Center? No. Never have liked going to Guitar Center. I always went to locally owned music stores. Never did go to Guitar Center. Never went to the big chains. I preferred locally owned music stores. Mainly because my taste in guitars tended to go a little bit off standard. You know, the only reason I bought this Ibanez back here, I never have been a big fan of Ibanez, but I bought it because I needed a guitar again, and it was cheap, and it had good ratings, and I bought it off of Musician's Friend in 2010 for $400. Prior to that, you know, there were my taste in guitars. You know, I had a Fender HM Ultra Strat that I really liked, but my ultimate guitar I bought at a local music store. It was the Robin Pro Medley. It was a 1991 model. Robins aren't made anymore. But that was the best guitar I've ever owned. And if I was to buy another guitar today, It's not a guitar that you could buy in a store. I have a friend that I've known since childhood, who owns his own custom guitar company called Lucky Dog Guitars. So if I was to buy another guitar, I would buy a guitar from him so that I would have a guitar that was custom made to my specifications and made by a close friend who I care about very deeply. And so, yeah. And they ain't cheap. His guitars run anywhere from $28 to over $3,000. And so, even as a friend, he's got to make a living, so I would have to pay him for that. And I don't have, $2,500 to $3,000 lying around for him to make me a guitar. I would love to be able to do that because I have a very specific guitar in mind for him to make for me, but, I don't make that kind of money. No, I don't watch Ellen. Do you miss the early days of YouTube back when everyone was trolling each other? Yes. The original console war era of YouTube was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it can never repeat. Do you think this generation is going to suck? I don't know. Too soon to tell. This generation is a week old. Too soon to tell. Honestly, I feel at this point that it all depends on how much digital distribution is adopted by the mainstream. We got 15 minutes left, folks. $35 has to be donated in the next 15 minutes or the show will end in 15 minutes. I liked The Next Generation, but it's not my favorite of the Star Treks. Mainly because I like Captain Kirk better than I like Picard. Captain Kirk was like, we're going to give the bad guys till the count of 3, and then we're going to fire everything we have. 1, fire! Whereas Captain Picard was like, we're going to give the enemy the count of 3, and then we're going to fire everything we have at them. 1, I really mean it. 2, I'm not kidding. 3, let's all go in the ready room and talk about this further. 7th, do you think the next technological advancement for humans will be, or what do you think it will be? In the 2010s, we got a phone everyone uses. What about this decade? I would like to say that all the next big advancements would be medical advancements, but, who can say? Who can say? I would like to see what kind of advancements could come from quantum computing, but we will see. Do you remember when Barron was on the Game Awards? Yes. Unfortunately, I do. Can you explain why the console wars will not take place again? Because YouTube frowns down on such things. They took away your ability to post response videos. They're more heavily censored. There's things that you can't do like you could before. It's a different era now. And plus, people don't have the same spirit of it as they used to. Nowadays, people would rather stay in their little hug box of sycophantic followers and spew BS and have them believe everything that comes out of their mouth without actually researching it, as opposed to actually going one-on-one against somebody else with differing views. And so nowadays, if you post a response video to someone, you're just as likely to get that video flagged down for bullying as you are anything else, because their little cult followers will mass flag your video because they don't want anyone to know that you just disproved something that their Messiah said. $10 from Joseph Italiano. Thank you for the $10. We are now $25 away from the 10 o'clock goal. So if $25 shows up in the next 15 minutes, y'all get another hour. YouTube ain't going to go back to the way it was anytime soon, if ever. Yes, people still play World of Warcraft. I have never been one of them. Seventh, you ever see Dragonheart back in the Oh, I liked Dragonheart. It's the sequels that sucked. I mean, yeah, the CGI for Draco has not aged well. You know, you go back to Dragonheart and watch it now, it's still an entertaining movie because the performances were good, but the animation of Draco looks like something out of a made-for-TV movie now. It hasn't aged well at all. Whereas you can go back to Jurassic Park and the original Jurassic Park still looks good. The CG in it still looks great, but not Dragonheart. Oh no. Not aged well at all. Hey, Seventh, kind of a dark question. What do you think happens when you die? Do you see stuff, or do you think you just go black and blank? I've experienced enough in my life to where I do not believe that consciousness ceases at physical death. No. Oh, I loved Happy Days when I was a kid. I mean, I've tried to go back and watch it now, and I'm like, oh, God, I can't take this. But when I was a kid, I loved it. In fact, when I was real little, I had a Fonzie jacket. I don't know where my dad found it, but my dad found me a kid-sized replica of Fonzie's jacket, and I wore that thing around everywhere. I loved it. That might be where my obsession with leather cycle jackets and stuff started when I was a teenager. Was, you know, I was subconsciously still wanting my little Fonzie jacket. I don't know. Like I said, all the sequels stink, Ultra Seal. What do you see them doing in God of War Ragnarok? I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. So I'm not even going to speculate. Did you ever watch Kenan and Kel? No. Do you like watching Good Times? I liked watching Good Times back in the day. What do you mean by stops after death? In other words, I don't believe that consciousness stops after death. I've seen too much to convince me otherwise. I believe we do go on after physical death. $10 left, folks. 10 minutes left, $25 short. I wish I had your faith there, Seventh. Well, I mean, you wouldn't really call it faith because, you know, my belief in it is because of things that I've seen. Faith is believing without seeing. Do you believe bad people really go to hell after death? I don't know that hell is a physical place, more as a state of being. You know, I've heard some people refer to it as a literal place, and then there are some, and I kind of lean in this direction, that hell is more of a state of being, in that it's being permanently and forever cut off from the spiritual consciousness of the Creator. And so you exist, but you exist isolated from everything that makes you you, which all comes from the Creator. And so being separated from it also means being separated from every person that you've ever loved in your life, whether they're in that same state as you or not. And so you're just in this limbo wandering state, forever separated from everything. So you exist, but you have no reason to exist. No, I never watched Baywatch. Now, some people equate hell with what the Bible refers to as the second death. And the second death is also known as the Great Judgment. And that's where, at the end of time, God judges every soul, and the ones that chose to follow the adversary get cast into the quote-unquote lake of fire. And so people conflate, you know, they think of that lake of fire, ultimate final punishment, as hell. there's a lot of different afterlife things that people that are in the Bible that aren't the same thing. Like, for example, Sheol is not the same as hell. Tartarus is not the same as hell. Tartarus is a concept that was borrowed from the Greeks to try to explain to people where the fallen angels were imprisoned. And so they were trying to make people understand what they meant by the fallen angels being imprisoned by hearkening it to the old story of where the Titans were imprisoned, which was in a prison deep under the earth called Tartarus. The Bible does that a lot because the people that were telling the stories knew that the people that were preaching knew that people at that time were very familiar with the Greek mythology. And so they would reference Greek mythology to kind of say, okay, I understand now. So you're saying it was like Perseus, or you're saying it was like Heracles. They did that a lot in the Bible because that was an easy way to try to get their ideas and their concepts and what they were trying, their message across, was by comparing it to something they were familiar with. Happens all the way through the New Testament. Let's see here. No, I've never been into Dragon Ball Z. Well, that's another thing, Raymond. When Christ was on the cross, he told the repentant criminal, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Bible also says that for believers to be separated from the body is to be with the Father. And of course, in my Father's house there are many mansions, or there in my Father's mansion there are many rooms. Blah blah blah. But the Bible also speaks of a place different from heaven that is referred to as the New Jerusalem. That after the final battle and all that, there will be a New Jerusalem where everyone will go and live with God. And it's mentioned as a separate place from where heaven is. So you would assume that heaven is a temporary place for good people to be while waiting for this other place to come into existence. We don't really know what a spirit is made of. Wannabe. Seventh, what do you and plus you also have to remember, wannabe, that one of the reasons that Christians tend to bury their dead as opposed to cremating them is because they believe that the resurrection means that they will that their body will be resurrected and they'll be reimplanted in a new and improved angelic body. And so, the body is buried because it's supposed to be waiting for the resurrection. So, there are some that believe that all the sinners in history, that their bodies will be resurrected and they'll be put back into their bodies just so God can toss them into the lake of fire. There's some people that believe that. We've got 4 minutes left and we're $25 short. Seventh, can you ignore this? Seventh, you can ignore this if you're not comfortable discussing. What's your thoughts on protesters? That's a political question. You should know better than to ask me that. Moses met God long before Jesus. This is true. This is true. But then again, physically met God in the flesh long before Christ. But again, Christ has implied that he existed prior to being incarnated as a human. There is a verse in the Bible where he says, I saw Lucifer fall from the sky like lightning, which the fall of Lucifer took place well before the creation of man. So that would mean that Christ existed as a conscious being prior to being incarnated on earth as Jesus. Aha! Good work, Master Millions. Where did the Creator come from? He didn't come from anywhere. He just was. I am that I am. That's what his name literally means. I am. Never I became, just I am. Not a topic we discuss on this chat, Shadow Deist. The Bible doesn't support it. The Bible just dictates when it happened. The Bible dictates a lot of things that happened that God didn't approve of, and yet it happened. Bible, God doesn't approve of adultery, and yet the Bible is full of adulterous people, including people that God depended on, like King David, for example. Bathsheba, Any last-minute movie suggestions? I'll look for some more hidden gems to tell you guys about later. I don't have any to share this week because I've just been watching old stuff. I haven't been watching anything new. Although I will say this, for Thanksgiving, the sequel to the Christmas Chronicles is coming out on Netflix. And, I love me a good Christmas movie, and I really liked Kurt Russell as Santa Claus in the first one. So I'm actually looking forward to watching that. It comes out on the 25th. Bible's not supposed to make full sense to you, wannabe gamer, because you are thinking about it through a limited human perspective. Watch King Tut. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock, and we have fallen $25 short of the goal. We had 25 in donations, so this is where I'll have to part ways with you. I do appreciate everyone who did donate. Thank you so much. I will put that $25 towards eventually buying Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Thank you. Do you think the Nephilim will come back on the scene? Who said they ever really left? There could still be some floating around out there. You never know. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. We got to say goodbye. Be thinking of all the other things that you want to ask me about. Write them down if you need to so that you'll have them ready come next Saturday. And I will see you all then. Same 7th time, same 7th channel.